Whether you read them or tell them aloud, ghost stories are sure to creep you out, especially in the dark. But let's be honest, these stories aren't just here to give you a light shiver. These are the kind of tales that burrow into your brain, replaying themselves at 3 a.m. when you're alone, wondering if that creak upstairs is just the wind, or something else entirely. And while science loves to play the skeptic, it can't explain everything. Sometimes things go bump in the night, and sometimes they don't bump alone. So if you're feeling brave, then stick with us as we dive into 15 of the freakiest, spine-chilling ghost stories ever told by people who lived through them. Number 15. A strange painting. The memory is faint, blurred by years, but vivid enough to send shivers down a spine. A boy, no older than 5, lay awake in his bed, tangled in half-kicked blankets. Across the room, near the wooden toy chest, sat a woman. She wasn't a stranger, yet she was unfamiliar. A young woman in flowing white, her presence eerily calm. She held a book, reading quietly, her back against the toy chest. Every time the boy peeked over the sheets, she remained unbothered by his terrified gaze. Morning brought courage, and he recounted the story to his mother. She listened, unshaken, though her belief in ghosts was always a coin toss. Weeks later, digging through the attic, she found a painting, a woman in white draped in clouds of fabric. She hung it in the bathroom, thinking little of it. But to the boy, it wasn't just art. Every glance at it was a reminder of that quiet, unnerving night, and the figure that might still be watching. Number 14. An odd coincidence. In the dim glow of a Manhattan apartment on Rivington Street, a small group of friends shared stories. The conversation turned to family history, and one guest casually mentioned his great-grandfather Izzy, who had once lived in a tenement on the Lower East Side. A quick text to his grandmother confirmed something uncanny. Izzy's draft card listed the exact same address as the apartment they were in. The discovery hung in the air like a ghostly whisper, but the strangeness didn't stop there. Minutes later, a relentless knock rattled the door. Assuming it was the grumpy neighbor, the friends opened it. No one was there. The knocking resumed moments later. It wasn't the neighbor. It wasn't anyone. The group laughed nervously, but the room's energy had shifted. The knocking faded, leaving behind the unmistakable sensation that someone, or something, was still listening. Izzy's story was no longer just a tale of the past, it had come knocking at their present. Number 13. A girl and her dog. In a quiet Vermont hotel, a photographer woke to the unexpected pitter-patter of a small dog racing through his room. Before he could react, a young girl appeared, her voice soft yet clear as she asked if he'd seen her dog. She couldn't have been more than 7, her innocence disarming. He pointed to the bathroom where the dog had run and asked if she was lost. She shook her head and disappeared into the bathroom. But when he followed, the room was empty. No dog, no girl. Weeks later, his assistant and her sister stayed in the same room. Both dreamed of their father sitting on the edge of the bed before slipping into the bathroom. They woke to devastating news. Their father had passed during the night. The hotel's charm suddenly felt heavy, its halls quieter than they should be, as if holding secrets too big for words, and memories that refused to fade. Number 12. Click Click. Late at night, a young video editor sat hunched over his laptop, lost in work. The house was quiet except for the soft snoring of his dog Kovu sprawled beside him. Then it came. Click, click. The lamp across the room turned off and on. Kovu stirred, his gaze fixed on the air above the lamp. The editor froze. Perhaps it was exhaustion or the eerie soundtrack of the music video he was editing. But then it happened again. Click, 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 click. The dog growled, his fur bristling. The air turned cold, the kind of chill that sinks into bones. And then the lamp went berserk. Off, on, rapid, relentless, like an unseen hand toying with it. Terrified, he scooped up Kovu and bolted to his sister's room, refusing to return until morning. The next day, he moved his workspace out of the room entirely, leaving the lamp and whatever haunted it behind. Number 11. The White Woman. One winter night, a couple drove down a winding forest road in Ridgefield, Connecticut. Snow blanketed the ground, glowing faintly in the moonlight. As they rounded a sharp bend, a woman appeared. Dressed in a flowing white gown, she seemed impossibly out of place, her pale figure barely visible in the storm. Startled, they swerved to avoid her and pulled over, shaken. Something about her didn't sit right. Her gown, her eerie stillness, her ghostly pallor. They turned back to offer her a ride, but when they reached the spot, she was gone. The next day, they shared the story with family, who pulled out an old town history book. In it, they found the story of Sarah Bishop, a hermit who lived in a nearby cave and attended church in her finest gown. She had died in a snowstorm over 2 centuries ago. The couple's sighting wasn't just strange, it was history drifting through the snow. Number 10. Bonaventure Cemetery. Bonaventure Cemetery is one of Savannah's most picturesque spots, but beneath its moss-draped oaks lies a story that's anything but tranquil. The ghost of 6-year-old Gracie Watson, who passed away from pneumonia in 1889, still calls this place home. Her life-size statue stands as a somber memorial to a life cut short, but her spirit seems less interested in resting in peace. Visitors report seeing a little girl in a white dress roaming the cemetery or, more unsettlingly, playing in nearby Johnson Square at night. Imagine strolling through a dark square and hearing giggles, only to find no one there. Savannah thrives on its haunted reputation, with ghost tours spinning tales of Gracie and other restless spirits. But locals will tell you Gracie's story carries a special weight. Is it the innocence of a child, or the eerie way she's said to reach out to the living? Either way, Savannah's hostess of the South might have a few unexpected guests. Number 9. Stanley Hotel. The Stanley Hotel might look like a postcard-perfect Rocky Mountain retreat, but don't let its charming facade fool you. It's a paranormal powerhouse. Room 217 is the epicenter of its ghostly reputation, thanks to a head chambermaid named Elizabeth Wilson, who accidentally caused a massive explosion with a candle in 1911. She survived but seems to have never quite clocked out. Guests often report feeling her presence in the room, tidying up, no less. Stephen King's stay here famously inspired The Shining, but Elizabeth isn't the only ghost. Visitors have reported strange laughter, flickering lights, and even ghostly children running down the halls, which, let's face it, is more terrifying than real ones. If you're feeling brave, the hotel's nightly spirited tours will give you a glimpse into its haunted history. Just be sure to leave a light on in your room, or better yet, maybe skip room 217 altogether. Number 8. The Ohio State Reformatory. This towering fortress of a prison looks straight out of a nightmare, probably because it is. Built in 1886, the Ohio State Reformatory housed some of the most dangerous criminals in its heyday. Today, it's as famous for its ghosts as it is for its starring role in the Shawshank Redemption. The basement is reportedly haunted by the ghost of a 14-year-old boy beaten to death there. Then there's The Hole, a pitch-black solitary confinement cell where misery seeped into the walls. Tourgoers have reported shadowy figures, eerie whispers, and the unmistakable feeling of being watched. Want to experience it for yourself? The prison offers ghost tours led by a paranormal team. Just remember, while the prisoners may be long gone, it seems some of their spirits never made parole. All right, guys, now let's head over to Number 7. Lizzie Borden House. Lizzie Borden took an axe. You know the rhyme, but the truth is murkier. In 1892, Andrew and Abby Borden were brutally murdered in their Massachusetts home, sparking a media frenzy. Lizzie, their daughter, stood trial for the killings but was acquitted. Still, the whispers never stopped, and neither, it seems, did the spirits. Now, the house is a meticulously restored crime scene. Visitors report phantom footsteps, disembodied voices, and objects moving on their own. Some even claim to smell Andrew's cigar smoke or hear Abby's last gasp. You can tour the house, or, if you're feeling particularly bold, book a room to spend the night. But fair warning, those who stay often wake up to find themselves in the middle of the story. Whether it's Lizzie, her parents, or something else entirely, one thing's clear. This house never let the past go. Number 6. Sloss Furnaces. Birmingham Sloss Furnaces tells the story of industry and ambition, but the scars left behind are more than physical. Opened in 1882, the furnaces were a lifeline for post-Civil War America, but they were also a death trap for the workers who toiled under brutal conditions. Enter James Slag Wormwood, a foreman whose name alone sounds like a villain in a ghost story. Slag was notorious for pushing workers to their limits, often at the cost of their lives. By 1906, the workers had had enough, and legend has it they threw him into the furnace. Today, Sloss is a National Historic Landmark, but the ghosts haven't left. Visitors report hearing Slag's voice barking orders, phantom footsteps, and even seeing shadowy figures near the furnaces. If you visit, keep your ears open and maybe stay clear of the blast furnace. You never know who or what might be watching. Number 5. The woman of your worst dreams. In Brazil, there's a reason you don't go to bed on a full stomach. Her name is La Pisadera, and she's been watching. Thin, gaunt, with yellowed fingernails and glowing red eyes, she creeps across rooftops, waiting for the right moment to strike. When her victim drifts off after a heavy meal, she slips into their room. Sitting on their chest, she traps them in a horrifying state of paralysis. Unable to move, unable to scream, forced to meet her cold, unblinking stare. Well, scientists might call it sleep paralysis, but anyone who's experienced it knows better. She's not just a ghost, a Redditor wrote. She's a nightmare that sits on your chest and doesn't leave until she's done watching you panic. Across cultures, the phenomenon is eerily similar. A dark figure, a crushing weight, a sense of dread. The only advice? Sleep light and hope she doesn't choose you next. Number 4. The Weeping Woman. La Llorona isn't just a ghost story. It's a warning whispered across generations in Mexico. Her tale begins in heartbreak. Rejected by the man she loved, Maria took her rage out on her kids, drowning them in the river. Well, there is no doubt she was a pretty bad mother. When her lover spurned her again, she realized her horrific mistake and threw herself into the water. But instead of finding peace, she found eternal torment. Now she wanders, wailing for her children, drenched, dressed in white, and crying, "Ay, mis hijos!" Oh, my children. She's a spectral presence near rivers and lakes. Some say she snatches children, mistaking them for her own. For many kids, her story is a rite of passage. Splash water on a mirror, chant her name 3 times, and wait. Most didn't last long enough to see her. They'd bolt, screaming before she had the chance. But those who've heard her cry know one thing. La Llorona's grief never rests. Number 3. The Ghosts of the Crescent Hotel. This creepy hotel is located in Ozark Hills. It looks like a picture of Victorian charm, but its walls hold stories far more Vanta Black than its cheery exterior suggests. Opened in 1886, the hotel quickly earned its haunted reputation. During construction, a worker named Michael fell to his death, and according to guests, never quite left. Room 218, where his presence is strongest, is a hotbed of strange noises, moving objects, and a sense of someone unseen lingering nearby. In 1937, the hotel fell into the hands of Norman Baker, a self-proclaimed doctor and bona fide fraud. Turning it into the Baker Cancer Hospital, he claimed to cure the incurable. Patients paid for hope, but often left only as spirits. The basement doubled as a morgue, and his patients' restless souls are said to still wander the halls. Today, this hotel is open. Anyone can visit it who has some braveness. Ghost sightings, unexplainable footsteps, and chilling encounters. Well, do call us at all. Number 2. Huggin' Molly. When the sun dips below the horizon in Abbeville, Alabama, the streets grow quieter because everyone knows to avoid Huggin' Molly. This towering, shadowy figure cloaked in black isn't your typical small-town myth. She roams the streets, targeting the unsuspecting. If she sets her sights on you, there's no escape. She'll wrap you in her icy arms and unleash a piercing scream in your ear, equal parts horrifying and confusing. While her origins are hazy, her legend has loomed large since the early 1900s. Some say she was a grieving mother, others suggest she's just a cautionary tale spun by imaginative parents who wanted their kids to stay inside after dark. Whatever the case, the town has fully embraced its eerie mascot. Huggin' Molly's legacy lives on, not just in stories but in a family-friendly restaurant named in her honor. Number 1. The Girl in the Bathroom. School bathrooms have always been creepy, but in Japan, one stall hides something far worse than bad plumbing. On the 3rd floor, the 3rd stall, knock 3 times and whisper her name, Hanako-san. If she answers, well, good luck. Some say Hanako is a lonely spirit looking for friends. Others claim she's a vengeful ghost who drags unlucky souls to hell. Her backstory is as tragic as it is chilling. During World War II, a schoolgirl hid in the bathroom when a bomb destroyed her school, trapping her there forever. Now, she waits. But Hanako's not the only bathroom ghost in Japan. There's also Kashima Reiko, a spirit said to have been cut in half by a train. She haunts stalls, asking terrified visitors where her legs are. Get the answer wrong, and she'll take yours. Suddenly, the scariest thing in school isn't exams. It's the 3rd stall. If you find this video interesting, please like and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.